Welcome to this gloomy day today. It is just gray as can be. You should be able to see the city right there, but you can't because it's January in Chicago, so visibility and spirits are low. I'm just kidding. I'm actually in a pretty good mood today. I'm gonna make a smoothie real quick while we're chatting here, so just give me a moment to get you seated. Does my hair look insane? I tried to do a cool girl, like a flip. I don't think I have enough hair. Is this stupid? Should it be like this? I kind of liked it better before. Did it do it again? I've been going to the gym more frequently lately, trying to work on my glutes, because I looked in the mirror one day and I was like, where'd my butt go? Like, I have no butt. And I've always kind of prided myself a little bit on having a nice butt. I got like a super crazy butt. Like, I'm not a Kardashian. But like, I have very small boobs, so I can't be a boob girl. I'm okay with that. I've accepted it. But I can be a butt girl. That could be my thing. So when I saw that there wasn't much butt going on, I was like, we gotta go to the gym. So I've been absolutely murdering my glutes. But the thing is, you can't just work out, you also have to eat properly. So you have to eat a lot of protein. So the main way I do that is my protein smoothies, and I hate making them because they take a lot of time. They're good for me. And so anyways, that's why I'm multitasking here. There's not much progress yet, okay? You can't even really see my butt, but it's gonna get there. It's me saying it now. Hold me accountable. Don't hold me accountable, actually. There's a good chance I'm gonna stop going to the gym in a month, and that's fine. Did you know that kiwis are really good for your digestive system? Like, if you're constipated, they're supposed to be great at helping you not be constipated. Starting off with a lot of butt content. Sorry about that. But I have IBS and kiwis have helped me immensely. Now that you know a little bit more about my bowel habits, let's talk about what this video is actually gonna be about. So I did a video about my low back year, and a lot of people watched it, which is really cool. And many of the people who watched it were like, how do you track all this shit? Great question. And that's exactly what we're gonna talk about today. So the way that I track my finances is I use an app called Notion, which is not built for tracking finances. It's just built for like organizing stuff. Like, you can make databases, you can link the databases, and there's all these things you can do, and I should be in marketing for Notion because that was a great description. I discovered it a couple years ago, and I use it as a way to organize my life, like calendars, planning, goal setting, self-care, journaling things. Sometimes it's where I put my therapy stuff. It's also how I track my spending and my purchases. So let's get into that. Cheers! Alright, we are in the office now. This is where all the tracking happens. Well, most of it. Sometimes it happens from the couch or the bed, but mostly here. So once a week, I try to sit down at my computer and I get on my phone, because that's where all of my financial information lives, in my banking app. And I go through and I look at my credit card statement, and I take all the transactions and I enter them into my Notion financial hub, which is where we'll be starting. Also, to be clear, I say I do that once a week. It probably actually happens like once a month, but we're trying to be better this year, so I'm saying it like it happens in hopes that it will actually happen, because it piles up when you wait to do it at the end of the month. It's a lot of back and forth. It's not that much fun, so try to do it once a week. But okay, so my financial hub. So first things first, up at the top here, I like to put my vision board for the year, so you can make this image whatever you want. This is just a collage of what I'm hoping for my life this year, so you can do that too. It's kind of fun, but not required. Then I've got my balance calculator, which I don't really need to do anything here. This just automatically updates as I enter income and expenses and savings and all that kind of stuff. And then we have the transaction log. This is where I spend most of my time. So like I said, ideally each week I'm coming in here, I'm entering the information for all of my expenses, which I can then see that populate down here in my expenses by month area, I guess is what we'll call it. So I have this set up so that I can view expenses for each month. And if I just click into one of these categories, I can go ahead and set my spending goal or my spending limit for the month. I will admit I was not very good about doing this last year. But then what happens is when I enter an expense in my transaction log, it is then automatically logged into my expenses for that month. So see, I enter a clothing expense up here, and then you can see down here, okay, I've spent $50 on clothing, and that is a third of what I want to spend on clothing this month. So now let's look a little bit closer at the transaction log and how I enter an expense. So we've got date, name, expense amount, very straightforward. Then we've got category. So I click into category, I type the name of the category, for example, groceries, and a bunch come up with months by them. I'm going to select the one that refers to the month that I'm in, so in this case, January. Then next to that, we have another category column. And I know you're like, Morgan, seems duplicative. It totally is. However, this is one of Notion's shortcomings. So the reason I have two separate category columns columns is because I like to make graphs. And unfortunately, the way that information is often pulled from Notion into these chart and graph websites that integrate with it, it's oftentimes a little bit clunky. And so I need these two separate category columns in order to allow me to make those graphs, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't. But basically, if you want to make charts and graphs, you're going to want to have these two separate columns, and it really takes me 0.5 seconds to fill out the second column, so it doesn't bother me that much. Then we have our brand/company column, and this is optional. I do not use it for every expense, but I do use it most often for clothing expenses because I want to track where I'm buying my clothes from. And this actually feeds directly into my brand directory, which we will take a look at in a moment. It's pretty cool. Brand classification is going to automatically populate based on what I select for my brand/company. So if I select Depop, it's going to show up as being a secondhand brand. And this just helps me track the type of companies that I'm shopping with. And then finally, once I'm done filling all that out, I just press captured and it disappears, except for it doesn't really. This page is just filtered to not show entries that have a checkbox so that this list doesn't get super long and overwhelming. And if I ever want to look at all of the entries, I just change the filter and then I can see them all again. And then I also have that same system set up for my income and for my savings, so I can likewise set savings goals, set income goals, and track those throughout the month. All right, so now let's talk charts and graphs. So there used to be a few websites that would integrate with Notion that would allow you to make your own charts. Unfortunately, Notion doesn't have a native chart making function within itself right now. I hope that they get that eventually because it'd be super helpful. But the websites that used to exist no longer exist, or they've turned to paid options and I just don't want to pay for graphs. So the chart making process I've made a little bit more complicated for myself, and I actually make them in Canva. So I'll try to go into Notion once a month. Really, year end is like the big time for me to make my graphs and stuff, but I'll try once a month to go in and filter and gather the information that I need to make these charts and just update them in Canva and then take a screenshot or a picture of the graph and put it in my Notion so I can see it. I really wish there was an easier way to do it. Notion, this is me asking you to give us a graphing chart function and to maybe make it free. That'd be amazing. Okay, now I'm done begging. Thank you. So now let's look at the brand directory. The brand directory is where I house information on all of the brands that I shop at. It's also a nice place to turn to when I need to shop for something and I'm not sure where to start or I need some inspiration. I can hop in there and look through clothing brands, bag brands, accessory brands, and filter by sustainable or secondhand, etc., which is super helpful. I've got these little tags down here that tell me different sustainability attributes of the brand, and then I have my little glossary that tells me what exactly those tags mean, which again is super helpful because I can't always remember exactly what is sustainable or what is ethical about every brand. But then the coolest thing here is that this is integrated with my financial hub. So when I log an expense with, let's say, Depop, it's logged not only in my financial hub, but here in my directory. So now I can see right here, this automatically populates. I can see how much I have spent with this brand so far this year. Okay, so now I know what you're thinking, Morgan, this is great for tracking, but how do I stop spending so much? Wonderful question. So this is where my wish list comes in. So I keep my wish list in my wardrobe hub, which I'm going to talk about the full wardrobe hub in a second, but I house it there because most of the things that go on my wish list are clothing, but you can add whatever you want to your wish list. So I've got a couple categories here. I've got like home goods, skincare, clothing, obviously tech. And what I'll do is I'll add the name of the item that I want. It'll automatically pop up like when it was added to the list so I can see how long it's been sitting there. And then I'll write down use cases, which seems a little bit silly, but this makes me think about how much I'm actually going to use something. And especially when it comes to clothing, like sometimes I'll see an outfit and it's great for like going out, but then it's like I go out like 3 times a year, so I really don't need that many going out outfits. So it's like if I'm not coming up with that many use cases, is it really something I need? So that's just like a little thought process thing for me. And then I've got my status column. So if it's something I decide I no longer want, I can update the status to no longer want. If it's something I'm still thinking about, I'll use deciding. If it's something that I'm like thrifting and I put in an offer on, then that'll be the offer made status. And then obviously if I purchase it, it's the purchase status. And then I also have a place for price and a link to the item. And then once I've purchased something, it'll move from my wish list to my purchases list so I can see everything that I've purchased throughout the year. So this is really helpful when it comes to slowing down my spending, not making impulse purchases. Because when I put something on this list, I leave it there there for at least 2 days before I make a purchase. Usually longer, usually like a week, sometimes a month, sometimes 2 months. And I'll come back and look at the list, and a lot of the time I forget what I even put on the list, and if that's the case, I just move it to no longer want, like it obviously was not important to me. On the flip side, if it's something that I've really been thinking about a lot, then I can start to look for it secondhand online and store my links in there and decide if I want to buy it or not, and track what I've made offers on and all of that kind of stuff. So it's really helpful for slowing down my purchases and then also helping me track what I'm actually purchasing so that it doesn't become like scattered and overwhelmed. And okay, so now we have the wardrobe hub. So up at the top, I've got some questions to ask myself before I make a purchase, again, just to help slow down my spending, make sure I'm buying things I really need, really want. Then I've got a place to store my colors for each season. So these are the colors that I really like on myself, that I typically gravitate towards, and I want to keep them in mind when I'm doing any shopping for the season. Then over here I have my mood board, so I like to make a mood board for each season, so spring, summer, fall, winter. Again, to keep that in mind as I'm shopping throughout the year, so I'll make that in Canva, and then I just store it here. Then I have my list of preferred styles, so these are styles that I really like on myself, that I think are flattering, that I wear a lot. And then I have my styles to avoid, which are styles that I may tend to gravitate towards, but I actually don't like on myself and historically have regretted purchasing. And then down here we have my outfits. So usually I'll just take a day, usually like a rainy day, inside day, kind of like today, and I'll get a bunch of stuff out of my closet and I'll just start putting together different outfits, seeing what I like, having a little dress up hour or 2 or 3. And I'll take pictures of them and then I'll store them here in my Notion by season, and I can filter by occasion. So whenever I need some inspo for an event, if I like don't know what to wear, I can look at this and be like, oh, okay, here's a fall outfit that's for going out. Like now I have something in my mind that I can put together and I don't have to stare at my closet and get scared because there's so much in there and I don't know what to put together. So yeah, that's the purpose of that. And now the last thing I want to look at is my closet. So I'm not gonna lie, this section of my Notion is a little unhinged because I have taken pictures of all of my clothing and I have logged it in here so that I can track how many times I wear each piece throughout the year. So I have it organized so that I can see all my clothes by season, and so I can see them by garment type. So if I was gonna add a new piece of clothing, I would click in here, I would add the type of garment that it is, I would select the color, the season, and the year that I purchased it, if I remember, hopefully. I would select the brand that it's from, and again, this would tie back to the brand directory, and then I would also select the source because I want to keep track of what brands are in my closet, but also what I bought secondhand. So like if I bought something secondhand from Abercrombie & Fitch, the brand would be Abercrombie, but the source would be secondhand. I would attach my image, and then the rest of these fields will automatically populate as I make different updates. So then you can see here I have my new item and all the information is shown on this little card. Now down here in this calendar, this is where I track what I wear each day. So I'll just click in, I usually just name it the date that it is. It's a little redundant, but I don't know what else to call it. And then in the garments worn section, I will type in the garment that I'm looking for and select that. Then once I've selected all the things that I've worn that day, I can go back up to where I have all my clothing organized, and I can see now, okay, I've worn this item once this year. And this section will automatically populate whenever I add something to that tracking calendar. So again, it's like a little unhinged. I do have to go in there every day and select what I'm wearing each day, but it only takes a couple of minutes, so it's not that heavy of a lift. But I'm hoping it'll shed some light on what I wear the most throughout the year, what brands I wear the most, what colors, what types of clothing, so that when I'm shopping in the future, I can be even more intentional about what I'm buying. So yeah, that is how I tracked all my spending for my low buy year last year, and how I'm gonna keep tracking it this year. The closet tracking is new, that's a new thing for this year, but everything else, that's what I used last year, and I found it really helpful. I do have templates for each of those like hubs available, so I'm gonna link them in the description. I have a basic version of the wardrobe hub that's available for free, and then the financial hub and the full wardrobe hub, they're available in my Etsy shop, and they do cost a little bit of money because they take a lot of work to put together, and a lot of time and effort and love has gone into them for me. So I do charge a little bit. It helps me keep the lights on, helps me keep being able to do this, and I do give 5% of the profits to a local organization called EcoShip. I discovered them last year, and basically what they do is in Chicago, they will collect any leftover mailer packaging, so mailer bags, like anything you get from Amazon, those like bubble mailers and stuff. They'll collect that and then they redistribute it to small businesses throughout the city for them to use for their packaging. So it's a really great organization. They want to do a lot more stuff this year and they want to expand, and so I just think it's a great organization to support that is doing a little bit to help the planet and just has a lot of really good heart and good people behind it. So if you purchase one of the templates know that a little bit of the profit is going to them, and the rest again is helping me be able to keep doing this. So like I said, there's the financial hub, there's the wardrobe hub. There is a bundle where you can get the financial and the wardrobe hub together. So if you're like, I want to track my spending and I want to track my clothing, boom, you can do that. And yeah, this is going to be my last video for a couple of weeks. This is the end of season 3. If you've been watching me from the beginning, you know I've been doing YouTube in seasons because I don't think that I could possibly put out a video every week forever. So I've been doing like 8-week chunks and then taking about a month off and then coming back with a new season. So this is the end of season 3. I'm gonna take 4 or 5-ish weeks off. I really need to get my shit together, I'm not gonna lie. During the seasons, it becomes a lot. It's a lot to pump out a video every week. So I wanna find a way to make it more sustainable for myself. So I'm gonna take some time off to get that all in order, and then I'll be back probably sometime February, early March. I think probably February, with some new videos, but follow along on Instagram and TikTok because I'll keep you updated there, and I'm gonna keep posting content there. And then if you have any sort of content that you want to see, please let me know in the comments. Obviously, if you're here, you're interested in low buy stuff, I do a lot of content around like mindful consumption and thrifting and all that kind of stuff. But I also do other things. I do vlogs, I talk about cleaning, just honestly like whatever I'm kind of interested in around that time is what I'll talk about. I'll do like probably some gardening videos when we get into the spring and stuff like that. But let me know what you want to see for sure. And just thank you so much for being here and for watching my videos. I appreciate you so much. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.